Downing Street has just confirmed that the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, has tested positive for coronavirus.
Another 569 people have lost their lives, bringing the total number of deaths now to 2,921.
Confirmed that 4,934 people have sadly lost their lives to this disease now. That is an increase of 621.
So we know that deaths now have increased by 684.
Of 708 from yesterday.
Today up to 758.
765.
1,228 have sadly died.
The number of people who have died has risen now. That total stands at 9,875.
In the last hour, it has been confirmed that COVID-19 deaths in the UK have passed 10,000.
It is now almost 2 months since the people of this country began to put up with restrictions on their freedom, your freedoms. And so I know, you know, that it would be madness now to throw away that achievement by allowing a second spike. And to avoid going back to square one, we're establishing a new COVID alert system. There will be 5 alert levels. Over the period of the lockdown, we've been in level 4, and it's thanks to your sacrifice we're now in a position to begin to move in steps to level 3. And when I look at where we are tonight, we have the R below 1, between 0.5 and 0.9, but potentially only just below 1. And so, no, this is not the time simply to end the lockdown this week. Instead, we're taking the first careful steps to modify our measures. We now need to stress that anyone who can't work from home, for instance, those in construction or manufacturing, should be actively encouraged to go to work. Work from home if you can, but you should go to work if you can't work from home. And from this Wednesday, we want to encourage people to take more and even unlimited amounts of outdoor exercise. In step 2, at the earliest by June the 1st, after half term, we believe we may be in a position to begin the phased reopening of shops and to get primary pupils back into schools. And step 3, at the earliest by July, and subject to all these conditions and further scientific advice, if and only if the numbers support it, we will hope to reopen at least some of the hospitality industry and other public places, provided they're safe and enforce social distancing. When I think of the millions of everyday acts of kindness and thoughtfulness that are being performed across this country and that have helped to get us through this first phase, we will come back from this devilish illness. We will come back to health and robust health. And though the UK will be changed by this experience, I believe we can be stronger and better than ever before, more resilient, more innovative, more economically dynamic, but also more generous and more sharing. But for now, we must stay alert, control the virus, and save lives.
Just getting the latest figures from the NHS for the number of deaths and cases in England. A further 828 people who tested positive for coronavirus have died.
As a result, we are actively asking those who need to make journeys to their place of work or other essential trips to walk or to cycle wherever possible.
But overall, we still don't have the infection rate down as far as we need to. As in other countries, we have issues with the virus spreading in some hospitals and in care homes, and in some, the very clear advice we've received is that any change to our social distancing measures now would risk a significant increase in the spread of the virus.
In the week the country went into lockdown, Dominic Cummings was seen hastily leaving number 10. Later it was confirmed that, like his boss, he had coronavirus. But Mr. Cummings didn't stay at his home in London, where he was filmed earlier this year. Instead, he travelled more than 250 miles to see his elderly parents in County Durham. He was last seen in Downing Street on March the 27th. The government said he developed symptoms over the following weekend. But just 2 days later, Durham police confirmed he was present at his parents' home. And another witness says he was still there on the 5th of April.
Well, we've just got some news in now, and the number of deaths in the UK from the coronavirus has risen to 11,329.
The first on-the-record statement from Number 10, a Number 10 spokesman issuing a statement in the last 5 minutes or so saying, owing to his wife being infected with suspected coronavirus and the high likelihood that he would himself become unwell, it was essential for Dominic Cummings to ensure his young child could be properly cared for. His sister and nieces had volunteered to help, so he went to a house near to but separate from his extended family in case their help was needed. His sister shopped for the family and left everything outside. At no stage was he or his family spoken to by the police about this matter, as is being reported. His actions were in line with coronavirus guidelines. Mr. Cummings believes he behaved reasonably and legally.
Yesterday, the Prime Minister failed to put the matter to rest. So today it fell to the man himself, his chief advisor Dominic Cummings, to explain why he left London to stay in Durham at the peak of the lockdown.
Sorry I'm late.
This the only apology, as he set out his version of events in the gardens of Downing Street.
The government is saying that a total now of 12,868 patients have died in hospital after testing positive for coronavirus.
In the past 24 hours, no deaths have been registered of patients confirmed through a test as having COVID-19. Now, this is, of course, the second day in a row that no deaths have been registered in the preceding 24 hours.
We're all in this together, or are we? The Office of National Statistics has looked at the risk of dying from COVID-19 in different occupations, and there are big variations. Once again, the stats show men had almost double the death rate of women, 9.9 deaths for every 100,000 compared to 5.2. Some occupations have high exposure to the virus, so deaths in people working in social care, such as care homes, were 23.4 per 100,000 for men and 9.6 for women. That's twice as high as healthcare workers who may have had better access to PPE and worked in environments with better infection control.
The number of people in the UK who have lost their lives in hospital after testing positive with coronavirus, and that total now stands at 15,464.
It's thanks to the caution we've shown so far that all 5 tests are being met. And that's not my achievement or the government's achievement, it is your achievement. It's only possible thanks to your resolve and dedication to our national purpose to overcome this virus. We can move forward with adjusting the lockdown in England on Monday. First, we will now reopen schools to more children. Second, we will also start to reopen shops as we restart our economy. And we'll begin on Monday with outdoor retail and car showrooms where social distancing is generally easier. We intend to reopen other non-essential retail, but only provided the 5 tests are still being met and shops have been made COVID secure. Lastly, I know the toll that lockdown has taken on families and friends who've been unable to see each other. So from Monday, we will allow up to 6 people to meet outside, provided those from different households continue strictly to observe social distancing rules by staying 2 meters apart. We will now allow people to meet in gardens and other private outdoor spaces. But I must stress that to control the virus, everyone needs to stay alert, act responsibly, strictly observe social distancing rules, and stay 2 meters apart from those you do not live with.
Yeah, the UK figures have just come out, released by the Department of Health. The number of deaths for the UK has increased by 828 deaths, taking the total now to 17,337.
That family members you can employ as your cleaning team, and that's okay with the rules. Grandparents can be employed as carers of grandchildren, that's okay with the rules. But you can't have them as your sister or your grandparents come to see you in the house. You can see why it's confusing.
No, I'm afraid I disagree with that.
Just had confirmation from the Department of Health and Social Care, and the latest is that as of 5 p.m, of those hospitalised in the UK who tested positive for coronavirus, 20,319 have sadly died.
Tables will have to go when pubs and restaurants reopen on July the 4th. But just how many depends on whether there has to be 2 meters between them. Howard hopes it'll be less. He owns 5 pubs and is already looking at losses of £1.2 million.
Across the board, then, at 2 meters, we'd lose approximately 50% of our tables or capacity. At 1 meter, which we've currently laid all the pubs out to see what happens, we lose about 12%. So, whilst it's not desirable, it's acceptable.
A review of whether the 2 metre rule should be relaxed has been commissioned by the Prime Minister. The government is going to get advice from both scientists and economists. Now they feel they've suppressed the virus, they are clearly grappling with how best to deal with the economic nightmare it's left behind.
You can't always see the changes that coronavirus is making to the way we will be living our lives. At first glance, everything might seem normal. But what even is normal anymore, since few believe there will ever be a return to life as it was pre-pandemic? A new poll for Sky News by YouGov found only 27% of people think life will be much the same as it was before, while far more, 59%, said it will be significantly different.
Three weeks into the travel quarantine and the summer getaway may be back on. The governments say they're likely to discuss air bridges with France, Spain and Greece in the coming days, meaning people returning from those countries won't have to isolate for 2 weeks. It's good news for airlines and for those desperately hoping to make it abroad. Scientists will be watching to see if opening our borders will mean opening ourselves to a second wave.
The latest figures from the Office for National Statistics show 36,591 people in the UK have died with suspected or confirmed COVID-19 up to the 1st of May.
But yesterday we learned, tragically, that at least 29,427 people in the UK have now lost their lives to this dreadful virus. That's now the highest number in Europe. It's the second highest in the world. That's not success.
The Prime Minister wants to tweak the lockdown as early as Monday. Well, what might that look like? A senior minister tells me that could mean reopening smaller shops and outdoor workplaces, but they are still looking at the data.
We are continuing to follow our roadmap while adjusting our approach as we need to, as we always said we would. First, on retail, shops. This has been the most challenging period for shops and high streets in our history. Never before have all shops been ordered to shut in this way. It's now been 82 days since we asked these shops to close their doors, and I know the toll this has taken, which is why I am so pleased that, as the Business Secretary confirmed yesterday, we can now allow all shops to reopen from Monday. Second, on social contact. I know how difficult the past months have been for people cut off from their friends and family. Last Monday, we relaxed the rules on meeting outdoors so that groups of up to 6 could gather, provided they are socially distant. We did so in the knowledge that transmission of the virus is much lower outdoors, so we could make this change in a safe way. But there are too many people, still too many people, particularly those who live by themselves, who are lonely and struggling with being unable to see friends and family. So from this weekend, we will allow single adult households, adults living alone, or single parents with children under 18, to form a support bubble with one other household. Third, on outdoor attractions. Because the risk of transmission is lower outdoors, we can open up some more outdoor attractions for people to enjoy this summer. So from Monday, we will allow outdoor attractions where people can stay in their cars, such as safari parks and drive-in cinemas, to open. In the meantime, we must stick to our roadmap. I urge everyone to continue to show restraint and respect the rules which are designed to keep us all safe. And it's only because of the restraint that you've all shown so far, that we're able to move gradually out of this lockdown. So please, to repeat what you've heard so many times before, stay alert and maintain social distancing, keep washing your hands, help control the virus by getting tested if you have symptoms and isolating if you are contacted by NHS Test and Trace. We cannot continue simply to be prisoners of this crisis. We're preparing now, slowly, cautiously, to come out of hibernation, and I believe it's absolutely vital for us to set out the way ahead so that everyone can think and plan for the future, short, medium, and long term.